Good afternoon, all. A very warm welcome to all of you. I welcome our resource person of the day, Dr. Akhtar Parvez, our principal, Dr. Yusuf Nafis, and all the participants in the 6th day of 1 week online faculty development program on digital tools for sustaining academic research during pandemic COVID-19, organized by College Library in collaboration with IQA. The topic of today's session is predatory publishing. Predatory publishing, also known as deceptive publishing, is an exploitative academic publishing business model that involves charging publication fees to authors without checking articles for quality and legitimacy and without providing other editorial and publishing services. New scholars are said to be especially at risk of being misled by predatory publishers. It is widely recognized that the phenomenon of predatory publishing grew with the emergence of online publishing, coupled with a widespread academic climate of research evaluation linked to journal title prestige and journal level metrics. So today, Dr. Akhtar Parvez, through his presentation, will aware us all about predatory publishing and tell us that how we can detect such publishers to get a research paper published in a good journal. Now, I would like our principal, Dr. Yusuf Nafis, to please welcome and introduce our resource person. Yusuf, ma'am. Yusuf, ma'am. Ma'am, please unmute yourself.
हेलो, अब मेरी आवाज पहुंच रही है? अच्छा,
यस मैम,
ठीक। आज हमीदिया गर्ल्स डिग्री कॉलेज के लाइब्रेरी और IQAC दोनों की कोशिशों से फैकल्टी डेवलपमेंट प्रोग्राम का छठा दिन है। ये हमारे इस प्रोग्राम के क्लाइमैक्स तक हम लोग अब पहुंच चुके हैं और आज के इस सेशन में मुअज़्ज़िज़ मेहमान और रिसोर्स पर्सन डॉक्टर अख्तर परवेज साहब का हमीदिया गर्ल्स डिग्री कॉलेज के फैकल्टी मेंबर्स और मैनेजमेंट की तरफ से बहुत इस्तकबाल है। आपका हम खैर मकदम करते हैं। डॉक्टर अख्तर परवेज साहब को इंट्रोड्यूस करने का मुझे प्रिविलेज मिला है, ये मेरे लिए बहुत खुशी की बात है। डॉक्टर अख्तर परवेज यूनिवर्सिटी लाइब्रेरियन एट मौलाना आजाद नेशनल उर्दू यूनिवर्सिटी मानू हैदराबाद हैं। आप नोडल ऑफिसर ऑफ ऑल द डिपार्टमेंटल 12 सैटेलाइट कैंपसेस लाइब्रेरी ऑफ द यूनिवर्सिटी के पोजीशन होल्ड कर रहे हैं। आपको 32 इयर्स का प्रोफेशनल एक्सपीरियंस है। डिफरेंट रेप्यूटेड इंस्टीट्यूशंस में आपने अपनी महारत दिखाई है, जिनमें नेशनल काउंसिल ऑफ अप्लाइड इकोनॉमिक रिसर्च NCAER, the American Center USIS, New Delhi, DELNET, India International Center, ICRA, IIM इंदौर MP। खासतौर से ये इंस्टीट्यूशंस हैं जहां पर आपने लाइब्रेरी साइंस में तमाम नए एस्पेक्ट्स सामने रखे हैं और प्रैक्टिकल करके दिखाया है। आपने 10 से भी ज्यादा किताबें लिखी हैं और एडिट की हैं। जर्नल्स और बुक्स में 20 से ज्यादा पेपर आपके आ चुके हैं। 200 से ज्यादा जगहों पर, बहुत ही प्रेस्टिजियस प्लेसेस पर आपने इनवाइटेड लेक्चर्स दिए हैं। आपका स्पेशलाइजेशन वेरियस इशू रिलेटेड टू ऑपरेशनल एरियाज ऑफ लाइब्रेरी मैनेजमेंट एंड इट्स इम्प्लीमेंटेशन पर है। आप मैनेजिंग एडिटर भी रहे हैं जर्नल लाइब्रेरी मैनेजमेंट में। इसके अलावा आप एडिटोरियल बोर्ड ई जर्नल ऑफ लाइब्रेरी साइंस एंड इंटरनेशनल रिसर्च, जर्नल ऑफ लाइब्रेरी एंड इंफॉर्मेशन साइंस पब्लिश्ड बाय किंग साउद यूनिवर्सिटी, रियाद के भी मेंबर रहे हैं। आप आउटस्टैंडिंग मैनेजमेंट लाइब्रेरियन एसोसिएशन ऑफ इंडियन मैनेजमेंट से भी रिलेटेड हैं। स्कॉलर्स एंड इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ रूरल मैनेजमेंट आनंद IRMA से भी आप मुंसलिक हैं। प्रोफेशनल अवार्ड आपको मिल चुके हैं, आपको SRFLIS की तरफ से, और बेस्ट यंग लाइब्रेरियन अवार्ड आपको मिला इंदौर डिवीजन लाइब्रेरी एसोसिएशन की तरफ से। विश्व लक्ष्मी बेस्ट मैनेजमेंट लाइब्रेरियन अवार्ड भी आपने को हासिल हो चुका है। आप मैनेजमेंट लाइब्रेरी नेटवर्क्स मैन लिब नेट से 1998-99 से जुड़े हुए हैं और इंडियन लाइब्रेरी एसोसिएशन के आप लंबे वक्त तक ट्रेजरर भी रहे। हमारे लिए ये बड़े फख्र की बात है कि हमारे बीच आप मौजूद हैं और आप उर्दू यूनिवर्सिटी से चूंकि ताल्लुक रखते हैं तो इसलिए 2 लाइन मैं अपने कॉलेज का भी इंट्रोडक्शन आपको देना चाहूंगी कि हमीदिया गर्ल्स डिग्री कॉलेज इलाहाबाद की लड़कियों को आला तालीम देने की पूरी कोशिश कर रहा है। ये कॉलेज हमारा 1930s में हमीदिया प्राइमरी की तरह से शुरू हुआ। 1951 में ये इंटरमीडिएट कॉलेज बना और 1975 में इंटरनेशनल वुमेन ईयर में इलाहाबाद यूनिवर्सिटी ने 5 गर्ल्स डिग्री कॉलेजेस खोले तो उसमें हमीदिया गर्ल्स डिग्री कॉलेज बना। 1975 से ये इलाहाबाद यूनिवर्सिटी से का अफिलिएटेड कॉलेज रहा और उसके बाद जब उसको सेंट्रल यूनिवर्सिटी का दर्जा मिला तो ये कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट माइनॉरिटी कॉलेज है, मुस्लिम माइनॉरिटी का ये अकेला कॉलेज है इलाहाबाद यूनिवर्सिटी का। और जाहिर है कि इलाहाबाद और उसके एडजॉइंट एरियाज में तमाम लड़कियों को आला तालीम के फराइज अदा कर रहा है। उर्दू, अरबी और फारसी सब्जेक्ट्स भी यहाँ पर हैं और उर्दू यहाँ का एक खास स्पेशलाइज्ड डिपार्टमेंट है हमारा। यहाँ पर उर्दू में BA और MA भी है और इसके अलावा हमारे यहाँ 3 फैकल्टीज हैं, फैकल्टी ऑफ आर्ट्स, फैकल्टी ऑफ कॉमर्स और फैकल्टी ऑफ वोकेशंस, क्योंकि तमाम लड़कियों को वोकेशनल ट्रेनिंग देने का काम यहाँ पर शुरू से ही होता रहा और 2015 से यहाँ पर बीवोक शुरू हुआ और अब हमारे यहाँ एमवोक भी हो गया है और 3 ट्रेड्स में हम लोगों को रोजगार से रिलेटेड एजुकेशन देने की, हायर एजुकेशन देने की पूरी कोशिश कर रहे हैं। फैशन डिजाइन एंड एम्ब्रॉयडरी, जर्नलिज्म एंड मास कम्युनिकेशन एंड सॉफ्टवेयर टेक्नोलॉजी। तो हमारा कॉलेज धीरे धीरे आगे बढ़ने की कोशिश कर रहा है। उर्दू में हमको यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ इलाहाबाद से रिसर्च के लिए भी मंजूरी मिल गई है और इंशाल्लाह अगले सेशन तक हम लोग वो भी शुरू करेंगे। लाइब्रेरी भी हमारी 1975 से बराबर हम लोग उसको आगे बढ़ाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। जो कॉलेज अथॉरिटीज हैं हमेशा अपडेशन की तरफ उनका ध्यान रहा है और अब ये जो फैकल्टी डेवलपमेंट प्रोग्राम हो रहा है वो बहुत ही हमारे लिए फायदेमंद साबित होगा और हम कुछ नए इस जो चैलेंजेस से भरा हुआ जो इस वक्त का दौर है, इस पूरा शोभ दौर में हम कुछ कोशिश कर पाएंगे कि अपने कॉलेज को नए अपडेशन से जोड़ने की कोशिश करें। सर बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया और हम अब चाहेंगे कि आप अपनी बात हम लोगों तक पहुंचाएं और ये बहुत हमारे लिए फख्र का मुकाम है कि हम आपको सुनना चाह रहे हैं और जाहिर है कुछ सीखना चाह रहे हैं। वी आर द लर्नर्स। थैंक यू सर।
Thank you, madam. Kashish, you want to say something?
No, sir. Thank you, Yusufa ma'am. Akhtar sir, it is our privilege that you are here with us. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay. It is, in fact, it is my privilege and great honor for me that, you have invited me, rather you considered me to, speak on this topic, and it is indeed a great, great honor for me. And I was very happy that when, Principal Madam was telling about her college, so she was saying कि हम आगे आहिस्ता आहिस्ता आगे बढ़ रहे हैं, but I feel that you already have achieved a lot, and I'm very sure that in the near future whatever is left, that definitely will be achieved under your very able leadership. So once again, thank you, madam. And I will be speaking on, as principal madam has said, I'll be speaking on predatory publishing. I'm sure you all know what predatory publishing is, but let me just give you a little detailed, overview of this area. So I'll just share my screen with all of you so that you are able to see my presentation also. Just a second. So can you see my
Yes, sir.
Okay. So as I said, this is the topic on which I'm going to talk today. And before proceeding to the main topic of today's discussion, let me tell you about my university in brief. Just a second, please. Yeah. So, our university was established in the year 1998. We have few polytechnics, then we have a lot of college of teacher education. We have 3 schools, and I would say it's probably one of very few institutions which provide education from KG to PhD. And our focus is girl education, and with regard to the library, we have books on all areas, not just in Urdu, because there is a perception that Maulana Azad National Urdu University has books only in Urdu language, but that is not the case, because we have books on all subjects that we run here in our university. So coming to the topic, this term predatory was actually defined by Jeffrey Beal, who is a library scientist in the United States. And this term was defined by him in the year 2010. And this term was defined by him to describe those publishers who charge article processing fee, that is also called APF. So there is no harm in charging article processing fee, but the problem with predatory publishing is that they promise for rapid publication without going into the proper peer review process, which generally legitimate journals do. So that's it. That is the brief definition, which I'll be talking more on this just to make you all understand what predatory publishing is. So basically, it is exploitation of authors by charging a fee, number one. And number two, they do not provide any peer review facility to research scholars. Like other journals provide. Other journals means other good journals, or you can say legitimate journals. And they are low quality journals. And these are some of the other names by which this predatory publishing is known. Fake publishing, fake journals, dubious, deceptive, sham journals, journals of having low credibility, scholarly bad faith, dark side of publishing, pseudo journals, questionable publishing. So during my presentation, perhaps you will get an idea about all these terms which I just said. So Jeffrey Beal, he says that the reason I call certain publishers predatory is because they prey on people. They try to trick honest researchers, and sometimes they are successful. Okay, so that's what was said by Jeffrey Beal. And the Committee on Publishing Ethics, it says that predatory publishing generally refers to the systematic for-profit publication of purportedly scholarly content in a deceptive or fraudulent way and without any regard for quality assurance. So here, the problem is that the publisher who publish predatory journals, they do not have any regard about the quality. Since there was no, I would say, consensus on this definition of predatory publishing, then what happened in 2019, that there was a summit of faculty members, journal editors, and research scholars. And there they, came out with this definition, which says that predatory journals and publishers are entities that prioritize self-interest at the expense of scholarship and are characterized by false or misleading information, deviation from best editorial and publication practices, a lack of transparency, and or the use of aggressive and indiscriminate solicitation practices. So here, the definition also says that these predatory publishers, they attract you with emails that they keep sending to you for publishing in their journals. So basically, as I said, these are low quality journals. So the publishers do not follow any ethical practice, and it generally happens with open access journals. I'm not saying that it happens in all open access journals, but as the number of journals increased in open access area, it was witnessed that there was an increase in the predatory publishing also. So, PLOS, that was founded in 2001 as an alternative to growing constraints of traditional scientific publishing, which actually rapidly evolved as a driving force for open access movement. And this is something, which we all should be very happy, all the librarians, that we have a platform where there is open access publishing, because that is the way forward for all of us. But having said that, some people actually misuse this open access publishing and started publishing predatory journals. So just to give you a brief definition of open access publishing, it is basically a model for publishing scholarly peer-reviewed journals, which was made possible by the internet. The full text of open access journals and articles can be freely read, as the publishing is funded through means other than subscriptions. So what happens that in such kind of publishing, if I want to publish, obviously I'll have to pay some fee to the publisher, because that is how they sustain. Either I pay or my institution pay. And they publish journals, which is accessible to everyone, all of us, not that just who subscribe to these journals. And as you all are aware, about the traditional publishing, we were writing in journals, and the copyright was with publishers. And even if we wanted to access that particular article, we were supposed to pay to the publisher. And libraries were subscribing to such databases of journals where our articles are being published or were published. And this is how they were sustaining their business model. They were getting some subscription fee from us, and they were sustaining on this subscription fee, their publishing model. And as I said, it was accessible only to those people who pay for subscription. So that was the problem, and that the problem is still there with the traditional form of publishing. The idea of open access publishing was in fact very positive, but unfortunately, some people started exploiting this model and started publishing predatory documents. And unfortunately, as Kashish was also mentioning, that the young research scholars, they actually are always at risk, because they are less experienced compared to those who are there in the academic field for a very long time. There was one article by Jeffrey Beal, and in this article, he said that journals that exploit the author pays model damage scholarly publishing and promote unethical behavior by scientists. So what he said in this article was that some publishers pretend to be authentic publishing agencies, but they just want the money from authors or researchers. Such publishers claim peer review, but they accept articles very quickly without any such processes, which is generally followed by good journals or legitimate journals. So he also said, that the publishers want to make money, as much money as possible, and they are commercial organizations who have nothing to do with research. Predatory journals have journal names that are almost indistinguishable from legitimate journals. For example, if you see the last point in this slide, there was a general which is of course a very reputed journal of biomedical sciences, which started publishing in 1994. And then, there are other journal with a similar title. The title was Journal of Medical Sciences in 2012, and this was a predatory title. So the only difference which you see here, that instead of science, just S has been added here, and this is a predatory journal. Okay. There was one article in Current Science in 2016, and in that article, the authors basically analyzed research articles that were published between September 2015 to February 2016. And in that article, it was found that 51% of the researchers who publish in predatory journals were from private and government colleges, followed by private universities and institutions, state universities, national institutions, central universities, and so on. And apart from this, the authors also, revealed that the publication pressure among the researchers and lack of monitoring the research being conducted were found to be the major factors contributing to publications in poor quality predatory open access journals from India. So that was, another finding. And similar finding was published in the Science Journal, which said that academic culture is such where quantity of publications scores over quality of articles when evaluating researchers. And you all know that, when we calculate API or when the screening committee calculates API, quantity is obviously important. So the same weakness of the system was revealed or found in these articles. And as I was mentioning that there was a summit of faculty members and researchers and editors. So they also said that the threat is unlikely to disappear as long as universities use how many publications a scholar has produced as a criterion for graduation or career advancement. So this was, echoed by various agencies. And perhaps, that is perhaps one reason why none of our, universities figure in first 600 institutions of those institutions which were ranked by Times Higher Education agency. So that is, another problem, that we perform poorly when it comes to international ranking of institutions. There is a consortium called International Consortium of Investigative Journalists, and they also came out with a lot of, very interesting findings. And one finding was that one publisher lied about its editors to the extent of 99%. So which means that, these journals or publishers, they actually lie about their editors, their affiliation, etc. And another very serious thing which this article brought out before us was that such things, they promote questionable theories, which is a matter of great concern. So, they do not have any regard for scientific temperament. They rather promote theories which are questionable. And there was another article, which said that there was a lot of articles, in fact, before this particular article, which said that only the problem is with only developing world of that predatory publishing. But this article actually revealed that it is not just the developing countries, but in fact the high income group countries also. So what it found that after India, it was United States which was publishing in predatory journals. So India, I mean, one can always argue that because of the population that we have, India is shown as highest, where, highest number of predatory journals are published, or where highest number of research scholars publish. But I mean, I think that probably argument is not good, if we really want to focus on quality of journals. So there were various articles, and Nature India also said that India is top submissions in predatory journals. And there was another article which was actually on, medicine. And it was found that in 2010, there were 53,000 articles, which actually went up to 4,20,000 articles, having 8,000 plus active predatory journals. And the article also suggested that the average article processing fee was charged about $178, about 13,000 rupees. So, another article, they said that, the open access movement has not only facilitated unrestricted access to scientific research, but also given rise to predatory publishing. And they found that there were alarming concerns about growth in predatory publishing. If you see this slide, let me just see if I, okay, if you see this slide, just a second, yeah. So here, authors from Asia and Africa make up more than 75% of the authors who published in predatory journals. And this actually shows you the global distribution of predatory publishers. So not just journals, but we have more number of publishers compared to any other country. So India is more than 27%, and 26% could not be determined as to from which countries they were publishing, because of various reasons. Because sometimes they register IP in different country. They may be from India, but they register their IP. No, I'm sorry. They what they do basically is, though they are the journals are published in India, but when you actually go to check their IPs, you will find there's probably that IP is registered somewhere else, another developing country or so. And not just they earn a lot of money, but there is a lot of hijacking of journals. So what does hijacking of journals means? It means that with duplicate websites or publishing agency, they invite articles and publish. And what it was seen in from 2015 to 2017, there was a 283% rise in hijack journals. And it is really a serious matter of concern for all of us. So another article, that is Current Science of 2018. There it was found that in 2009, there was 7,425 titles registered with ISSN. And in 2017, they were almost threefold, which means around 22,000. And this actually, here, it was found that most of them were bogus journals, and those bogus journals are unfortunately were brought out from India. So this is another article which also echoed the same thing what I've been saying. And earlier, I said that there were researchers which said that young researchers are always at risk. But there was another article in Nature which said not just young articles, but even senior faculty members or research scholars, they also get preyed to such predatory publishing. And pressure on scientists to publish has led to a situation where any paper, however bad, can now be printed in a journal that claims to be a peer-reviewed journal. So that is the report of the Guardian. And there was problem of the pseudoscience, which I was saying, or I was saying how these articles or journals promote questionable theories. So the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists, who actually also did the investigation on Panama Papers, they also said, such publishing is actually promoting questionable theories. And this was a very serious concern for these people. And in 2019, January, there was an article published in Times of India where, it was said that and I'm very sure that you may be also aware, one of the vice chancellor of a central university, he said that Kauravas were test tube babies. Ravanas had several airports and aircrafts in Lanka. And Lord Vishnu sent a Sudarshan Chakra to chase targets. And after hitting them, they would come back. So it's like a Rajnikant movie. So I think these are the problems, the theory of Isaac Newton and Albert Einstein was dismissed as wrong, unfortunately. And the editorial says that, it is important for us to tell the layman that these claims are not true. And why he said that? Because we all are very educated people. We know these problems. We know that, there every now and then, we hear that corona can be cured by this and that. But actually, the problem is that people who are living in interiors, who do not have access to or equal access to the scientific knowledge, they always probably will feel or will get misled. So that is the most unfortunate part of this, you know, predatory publishing, where questionable theories are promoted. And this was a video which I will run it for a few seconds, but I'm very sure that you once, whenever you get time, you will watch this video.
India scientists dismiss Einstein theories. Scientists in India have hit out at speakers at a major conference for making irrational claims, including that ancient Hindus invented stem cell research. Some academics at the annual Indian Science Congress dismissed the findings of Isaac Newton and Albert Einstein.
So this is actually 3-4 minutes video, which you can see it later. And I'm sure the most recent was, Bhabiji Papad, that you eat Bhabiji Papad and you will get cured from corona. So, I mean, the problem is that in villages, people start believing these people. And the lady who actually wrote this article, she said a very important thing, which was that when political figures make outlandish claims about ancient flying machines, they are undermining the truth for their own political ends. So that was something, which is really a matter of great concern. But, there was another article which was very interesting, which said that, who is afraid of peer review, which means that publishers who are actually doing peer review, or who are known for doing peer review, you can publish any kind of poor quality article in those journals. And there was one sting done, and that 1/3 of these journals targeted were based in India. And the author submitted an article to a journal, and that was accepted. And the author said, anybody, having 10th or 12th level knowledge of chemistry will actually reject that paper. But that paper was unfortunately accepted by a few journals, which were actually, and some of the journals were actually peer-reviewed journals. So the author also, observed that the acceptance is the norm and rejection was exceptions. So which means, perhaps everybody is just, want to make money without any concerns of quality. So I'll just skip this particular slide. And, when these things were happening, you all may be aware that in 2017 or so, UGC came out with a list of approved journals, and they said, now you'll have to publish in these journals, only then your API will be calculated. And this was notified, and then, 35 to 40,000 journals were approved by UGC. But after they were approved, there was another article in the Indian Express, and Indian Express did a lot of investigation into fake publishing. And there also, a lot of concerns were raised about, how people can pay and publish in journals. And this investigation, which was done by Indian Express, it said that, almost everywhere this business is happening, right from, North India to Central to South India. And they said actually in the report that from Ghaziabad to Mandsaur to Hyderabad, this business was flourishing. And India has emerged as one of the biggest markets for business, in which over 300 publishers manage what are called predatory journals that claim to be international and publish papers for a listed charge. So that was revealed in this investigation. And most surprising thing for me was that one company was behind more than 700 journals. Okay, and as you know, these people, when you publish in predatory journals, if you negotiate with them the article processing fee, there will be some kind of negotiation for you. Some kind of discount for you. And one website, as per this report, offered a 96% discount. So I think that was all happening. And in March 2018, this article, I'm very sure most of you must have read this article. One of the scientists from, one of the faculty from BHU was involved. And here, what they did actually, they analyzed 1009 titles which were part of UGC's approved list. And there, they found that almost 35% titles were not having the basic criteria, and they were disqualified on the basis of not having the basic information that any publisher or journal should have. And more than 52% of the publishers provided wrong or false information. And the study revealed that 88% of the titles were of low quality, which were part of the UGC approved journals. Okay, so this was very, very, this information, when it was published, there were a lot of impact, and it was published in various newspapers also. And finally, UGC reacted to such. I generally feel that UGC is a body which reacts. Okay, so UGC, suddenly removed 4,000 journals from its approved list, and there were some good journals also from University of Delhi, JNU, etc. They also got removed. So again, I'm referring to Jeffrey Beal, and he said, the practice of using a white list or the approved list of journals is often flawed, especially if the list is created by bureaucrats in the same country the list is used in. So this is the observation he made in one of the interviews. And he also said that the use of a white list is problematic, especially when the process of creating the list is stained by politics and favoritism. Okay, so now, I mean, you all know that UGC CARE is in place, and I'm sure they will do a far better job than this approved list of UGC was doing earlier. Now the question is, how do we actually recognize which is a predatory journal and which is not? And that is really very challenging. And as I said, even senior scientists, they fall prey to such predatory publishing. So there used to be a list called Beal's list. Jeffrey Beal actually used to publish this list, and in that list, he used to give complete list of predatory publishers and journals. But then, there were a lot of criticism of his list, and then in 2017, he had to, remove his list from his website, because the publisher started accusing him of, bias, etc. And he was also, getting some. He doesn't want to get into any problem, so he finally removed this list. But this was, in fact, a very important list. And Jeffrey Beal is a person who basically, as I said, he coined that term of predatory. Then you have another website called Cable's website, where you can find the list of predatory publishers and journals. But this is a paid thing. So this is another website, where you can just go here and find all the predatory publishers and journals. This is another website, that's predatoryjournals.com, which actually lists more than 1,300 titles. And this lists such predatory journals. And here you can also tell them, if you find that there is any journal which is predatory, you can also tell them. They will add it, after necessary checks. So there is one article, which those who are interested in understanding how to, identify a journal or publisher, whether it is predatory or not, they must read this article, which says everything you ever wanted to know about predatory publishing, but were afraid to ask. And then there was another article in the Scientist, and then a lot of website actually gave information about this predatory publishing. And this lady actually, she's summarized some of the common characteristics of predatory publishing. They said, they use deception to appear legitimate. इसका मतलब वो धोखा देते हैं इस चीज को, और ये कहते हैं कि हमारी जो जर्नल है, वो हमारा जर्नल है, वो legitimate है. Then they will make false claims of services offered. They will say that we do peer review, but actually they do not. They exploit the need to publish, and they generally, exploit the need of to publish of research of young researchers, and they do not have any concern for quality. The goal is to just make money, and they sell speed. Okay, so they will say, if you want to publish, please publish with our journal. We will print or publish your article within 1 month's time, which is in fact not practical at all. So sometimes, the peer review will take 2 months, 3 months, and then, changes will be suggested to the author. In fact, it is good that, our articles are are reviewed, because we learn from these peer review process. So this lady also, that is Chris Prater, she also said similar things. You can also read this document, which is on Committee on Publishing Ethics, which is on predatory publishing, and you will know various other things. I really like this report, which was published in Science Chronicle by a journalist who works in Indian Express, that is Prasad Ravindranath. So he said, how to spot predatory journals, and he gave various characteristics. But at the same time, he observed that we are actually victim of fake publishing, or we are partners. Okay, so I feel, we are also partners in fake publishing. Why these publishers are making a lot of money? Because we are publishing. Similarly, we see all kinds of nonsense on our TV channels these days. For the last 3 months, we see Riya Chakravarti news. I mean, there are a lot of pressing problems that India is facing, but all over, you will see that Riya Chakravarti is everywhere. So, and those channels are #1 channels. And who is making them #1? It is we who are making them #1. Similarly, the problem of predatory publishing, I would say, is similar to that, because we publish in these journals. So, just to summarize, these how you can detect predatory journals is that, they will ask for exorbitant publication fee without any peer review. There will not be any transparency, and they will notify authors about the fee only after acceptance. There is unrealistic fast time for acceptance and peer review process. And they will email very aggressively that you please publish in our journals. I also used to get a lot of emails from such publishers when I published my thesis. They said that, we read your thesis in the University of Delhi, and we really liked your thesis. We would like to offer our services for publishing your journal. And I also was feeling quite happy that, look, my thesis is being read in US, in UK. They are sending me emails. So that time, I didn't know that, this is the problem. But actually, those all publishers were actually fake. And sometimes they also send you personalized emails. And they will also, ask you to become a member of their editorial board. I also, was member of editorial board of a particular journal. And that time, when a few years back, I was asked to be part of their journal, I immediately agreed, because that time, I was not part of any of the journal in the editorial capacity. But that was, a great moment for me, and I accepted. But then, later on, I realized that the journal, where I'm member of the editorial board, is actually a fake journal, or it's a low quality journal. So in predatory journals, the national or international affiliation does not match with its editorial board or location. Journal's name may not match its location. As I said, bogus addresses in the United States, Canada, etc. you will find. And the editorial board is either very small, or they will say the editorial board is coming soon. The impact factor, will not be right. If you check the impact factor on their website, they will be saying something else, but they may not be having any impact factor. So what is impact factor? I'm sure you all may be aware, but let's just me tell you. We always want to publish in high impact factor journals. So how a journal is made high impact factor? Because of the number of citations. So how do we, or you can say, what is the formula for understanding the impact factor? The formula is that, a number of publications, number of citations in previous 2 years divided by number of articles published in that particular journal in previous 2 years. And that is how you get impact factor. And the frequency of such predatory journal will be doubtful. Sometimes they will say we publish quarterly journal, but you will find that since last 8-9 months they did not publish any journal. The journal may not be indexed anywhere there, like Scoopers, or there are other indexes. So you will find that that journal is indexed nowhere. There you will find that there will be editorial oversight, fraudulent or improper use of ISSN. You will find fundamental errors in the titles and abstract, and you will also sometimes come across a situation where a single publisher releases a large number of new journals at one go. So these are some problems. As I also said, that journal scope may not match the content. Okay, journal may be on library science, but they also may be publishing on articles in other areas, and they will make false claim that their journal is part of directory of open access journals or old reach cables, etc. And predatory publishers may have more sophisticated websites compared to the websites of legitimate journals. So just to conclude, let me tell you that they basically use deception to appear legitimate. They exploit the need to publish. They do not have any concern for quality publishing. They don't follow accepted scholarly publishing best practices. They are very aggressive in inviting journal articles. So basically, they sell speed. I also came across something where I found that even conferences can be predatory, and I'm very sure that you all know our conferences. So in our conferences, what happens that when you send paper, your papers are generally accepted because your acceptance or your paper acceptance is directly linked with the registration. So you will register for the conference only if your paper is accepted. And in such conferences, you will find that they do not have any concern for quality, and they will publish anything you send. And just to identify a predatory conference, these are some of the characteristics, like the organizers holds low quality academic meetings, no effective peer review, false claims of peer review, allowing anyone to purchase a speaking slot, concealing the for-profit nature of the company. Okay, and this blog, this was circulating on our library WhatsApp groups. I'm sure some of you also might have seen it. So in this blog, the author is basically a journalist in Midday or some other newspapers, I'm forgetting. So what he did, he actually submitted 2 papers to a conference, and the registration fee was 6,000. So when he negotiated with the publisher, with the conference organizer, they reduced the registration fee to 3,000. And he said, unfortunately, it looks bad on my part to say, but he said, the conference organizer, the negotiation was like, when you go to a vegetable market and you negotiate the same way, he said that he negotiated with the organizer and they gave him 50% discount. So he paid only for one paper, and one paper was published. And the organizers actually claimed that the conference received 130 submissions, out of which only 60 were selected. All the papers were reviewed by panelists. That's what the organizers claimed. And the organizers also said that only high quality papers were accepted. So, and they also said that, there were 3 reviewers, so on and so forth, on all these claims, false claims they were actually making. And the author says, when he talks about his paper, he says that, the introduction on the first page itself says, you should read any paragraph that starts with the first four. I mean, all these things, he had written, and even then, this paper was accepted. And he also said that, one section of the paper consisted entirely dialogues from the movie My Cousin Vinny. And here, he wrote Sholay, etc. And everything was, surprisingly and unfortunately were, accepted. And it was found that in one of the researches that predatory conferences are actually are outnumbering the legitimate conferences. So this is another article, same article, which I showed you a few slides back, that here, you can also know about a lot of predatory publishing. No, I'm sorry, not this one. There was some other article. I think I have used the wrong slide. I'm very sorry. Just to, I'll just take 2-3 more minutes. There was another article, which said actually there's no list to rule them all, and they found that whether it is Beale's list, whether it's Cable's predatory list, or any verified list, I mean, it is very difficult, to identify. But at the same time, there are broad guidelines we all should follow. When email was, when I was working at India International Center, email was inaugurated by some big people, and it was a big affair. And everybody that time thought that, email is a great thing. But then, the spam email came, and a lot of people got cheated. And we started feeling that probably email is not that great. So similarly, the same thing is perhaps true for open access journals. But having said that, let me tell you that open access is the way forward. We have to be very, very careful when we publish in open access journals. And there are some open access journals articles, or the publishers, which are listed in Web of Science or Scoopus, or you will find them, the impact factor will be very high. You can check the JCR, that is Journal Citation Report, etc. And, you should always, my suggestion is to publish in open access journals, with, of course, taking a lot of precautions. Some people, ask me that, even the problem of predatory could be in the traditional publishing. But, the problem or the good thing about traditional publishing is that there is a built-in mechanism. Say if you are subscribing to a database of journals, and if your faculty or anyone feels that those journals are not of quality journals, you always have the option of discontinuing the subscription to those journals or say database. But unfortunately, in predatory publishing, such built-in mechanism is not there, except for platinum model, where authors are not charged to publish. So Jeffrey Beale says that money brings corruption, and there was one very interesting article you should always read. You must be thinking that I am asking you to read a lot of articles, but perhaps if you read more, probably you will need more about things that I spoke today. So this article, that is The Rise and Rise of Citation Analysis, says that 90% of papers that have been published in academic journals are never cited. And it also, revealed that as many as 50% of papers are never read by anyone other than their authors, referees, and journal editors. So what is the point of writing if nobody is reading your article? So that is why, I always suggest to my young researchers or young friends that, they should write in quality journals. They should write meaningful articles so that, the next generation is able to benefit from your article. So, publishing in low quality journals will, of course, be bad for your reputation. And, you build your reputation. It takes a lot of time for you to build your reputation, but if you publish in low quality journals, your reputation will be at stake. And librarians should educate researchers about the characteristics of predatory journals, how to identify predatory journals, etc. Even funding agencies or regulatory bodies should monitor where funded research is published. And before participating in any research or I think you should obtain assurance that your research will not be published in low quality journals. So, once you start publishing in good journals, I'm sure you will enjoy writing more and more, and you will really be a very happy, relaxed person. So with these, let me just thank the organizers, and in particular the principal of the Media College, and Kashish Fatima, for inviting me to this very prestigious program. Thank you. I'll be very happy if questions are asked. I'll try to answer. I think, Kashish, you are, please unmute yourself.
Sorry, sir. Thank you so much, sir. You have really enlightened us with your lecture. I think you covered every aspect which an author must know before publishing his work. Sir, our participants have few questions for you.
Yes.
First question is, sir, that are there any positive sides, especially for predatory journal writers?
No, not at all. It is just the dark side for them if they publish in predatory journals, because what we have started doing at our university, that when somebody applies for faculty positions or something, or when the faculty, the assistant professor, etc., they apply in CAS, so we take an undertaking from them saying that their journal has not been published in fake journals, and their articles are not plagiarized. So we take this undertaking from them, and we also take the undertaking saying that if at any point of time it is found that your journals were plagiarized or they were published in fake journals, then necessary action will be taken against you as deemed fit by the university as per the UGC regulations. So I think there is no positive side in publishing in predatory journals. There are always a negative side.
The next question is, please tell us some name of websites to find an appropriate journal to publish our work.
Okay, that's a good question, but it all depends, which area is yours. But what I suggest is, because your promotion, etc., is linked to API, and if you publish in UGC CARE list, that would be good, because then you can always claim the API. But that does not mean that you cannot publish in better journals than what are listed in UGC CARE. I'm sure very good journals are listed there, but at the same time, there could be some very good journals which are part of UGC CARE list, but which may not be part of UGC CARE list, but they may be very high impact factor journal or good journals. So I would say maybe you should consult that UGC CARE list before you publish.
Another question is, what is the turnaround time for articles submitted in the journal?
I tell you, there are journals which fall under ABDC category. That is Australian Business Deans Council category, which is, and there, basically I'm talking of management related journals. So there sometimes it is 2 years, 3 years. But I think you should not accept anything before, 4 or 5 months. Even if you want to publish in Annals of Library Information Studies, which is a journal of NISCARE, INSDOC, whatever you want to say. So that itself takes about 4 or 5 months, or sometimes it takes more time. So you have to plan your research accordingly. See, you should not publish in a hurry. Always, when you publish, please, when you write, one thing is that you should keep on improving your article. You should show it to your seniors who could really throw some light on what you have done, and then only you should find out a good journal to publish. But if you say the turnaround time, I think that is there will not be any straightforward answer to that. But I would like to say here that generally it is 4 to 6 months in journals which are not rated as very high quality. But moderate journals, I think average quality journals generally take 4 to 6 months. And I was talking here of library science journals only.
So another question is, are all paid journals predatory journals?
नहीं, मेरे ख्याल से ये शायद ये लिखना चाह रहे होंगे कि क्या सारे जो हम लोग फीस देते हैं वो सारे प्रेडेटरी जर्नल्स है ना, तो ऐसा नहीं है। देखिए मैं जैसे मैंने एज आई एक्सप्लेन ड्यूरिंग माय प्रेजेंटेशन आल्सो दैट देयर आर सम वेरी गुड ओपन एक्सेस जर्नल्स वेयर यू पे, okay, and but still their impact factor will be very high, and sometimes they are regarded better than those journals which are in traditional publishing. So it's not that there is a percentage of predatory publishing in open access. I have not seen any article which tells me this is the percentage or that is the percentage. But I think a good number of journals, that is open access journals, which of course charge, but they may be very good journals. So I think this is, as I said towards the end of my presentation, that some of the journals which are in open access, or you can say which are paid, for which you have to pay article processing fee, they are indexed in Scoopers or Web of Science. So I think that's not the right thing to assume.
So the last question, how to target a journal that's right for a research work?
First thing, you go to their website, okay, see what is the scope of the journal which you want to publish. Does it match with your interest or on which you have written the article? So that is one, and then see what is the style they follow, what is the impact factor, and as I said that there can be some misrepresentation about impact factor. So my suggestion will be to just go through the website properly, see who all are in the editorial board, also see some of the articles which are published there, speak to your seniors, find out about that journal, and I'm very sure in your field you must be aware of some good researchers, so just see if those people have published in that journal. So I think these are something which this is how you can target a journal. But before targeting a journal, I mean, of course you have to write good article, and if you write good article, always publish in a good journal. Don't don't worry about the speed, or don't worry about the publishing speed. So you look for a good publisher, a good journal with high impact factor. Just check who all are citing in that. I think these are some of the some of the things that you can do before publishing in a journal.
Thank you so much, sir, for answering the questions of our participants. Now, I would like our principal, Dr. Yusufa Nafis, to share her views.
Yes.
डॉक्टर अख्तर परवेज साहब, आपने नए रिसर्चर्स को भी और जो पुराने रिसर्चर्स हैं दोनों को बिल्कुल नए पहलू समझाए हैं कि हम अपनी रिसर्च को कहीं देने से पहले अच्छी तरह समझ लें कि कहाँ हम दे रहे हैं। एक आपसे बात शेयर करनी थी सर कि हम लोग अपने कॉलेज से उर्दू डिपार्टमेंट की तरफ से एक जर्नल निकाल रहे हैं कई सालों से, नक्शे नौ के नाम से, लेकिन अभी तक हम उसको यूजीसी की केयर लिस्ट में नहीं ले जा पाए। तो क्या आप हमें कुछ गाइड करेंगे कि हम उसको, अगर कुछ कमियां हो उसको हम ठीक करें और वहां तक ले जाएं? कैसे हम कर सकते हैं कि हमारा जो कॉलेज से जर्नल बहुत ही अच्छे इरादे से निकल रहा है वो कैसे यूजीसी केयर लिस्ट में शामिल हो सकता है?
जो मैं समझता हूँ मैडम, एक तो वो ये है कि जो रिकमेंडेशंस कुछ चाहिए होते हैं डिपार्टमेंट से, इधर उधर से, जो लाइब्रेरी साइंस डिपार्टमेंट, आपके जो भी उर्दू डिपार्टमेंट जो दूसरी यूनिवर्सिटीज़ में है उनसे कुछ रिकमेंडेशन चाहिए होते हैं। कुछ एक पर्टिकुलर उनका फॉर्म है यूजीसी केयर लिस्ट में जाने के लिए, वो आप
हाँ, फॉर्म तो देखा है जी, लेकिन मतलब हम जानना चाह रहे थे कि किन चीजों पर फोकस किया जा रहा है। उसको।
देखिए उसमें जो फोकस, जैसे मैंने कहा कि क्वालिटी पे फोकस, जाहिर है क्वालिटी पे फोकस तो किया ही जाता है,
रहेगा। हाँ जी जी।
तो अगर उसमें वाकई क्वालिटी आर्टिकल्स हैं, और दूसरी एक देखिए मसला जो मुझे उर्दू लैंग्वेज के साथ या दूसरी लैंग्वेजेस के साथ नज़र आता है कि वहाँ पर उर्दू को पढ़ने वाले एक्सपर्ट भी नहीं बैठे थे, तो एक बड़ी उसमें जब एक्सपर्ट है नहीं तो ज़रा कैसे पता चलेगा कि ये वाकई कोई क्वालिटी जर्नल है कि नहीं। तो एक मेरे ख्याल से
और
शायद
अभी हम भेज ही नहीं पाए हैं सर, अभी हमने भेजा भी नहीं है, तो अगर हमें कुछ प्रॉपर गाइडेंस मिल जाए तो हम उसको भेजने की कोशिश करें
तो मेरे ख्याल
क्योंकि
से
हम
तो
लोग कॉस्ट ले रहे हैं जी।
मेरे ख्याल से मैडम आप जो उसमें जो चीज़ें भी उनके जो चीज़ की रिक्वायरमेंट हैं, जाहिर है पहले वो पूरे कर दीजिए, जो रिकमेंडेशंस हैं जो भी करवाना है, उसके बाद फिर अपना प्रोसेस शुरू कीजिए। हो सकता है कि आपके पहले अटेम्प्ट में ही अगर आपका जर्नल जाहिर है अच्छा ही होगा तो वो इंशाल्लाह मेरे ख्याल से होना चाहिए।
ठीक है, उसकी कुछ कॉपीज हम आपके पास भेजेंगे,
जरूर
प्लीज आप देखिएगा जी।
जी जी जी।
थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू।
वेलकम मैडम।
Thank you,
बहुत
Yusufa
शुक्रिया
ma'am.
आपका।
नहीं मैडम, माय प्लेजर।
Thank you so much, sir. Look before you leap, a lesson learned from you. You made us more
Yes.
cautious with your lecture. A lot of ways learned from you to get a paper published in a good journal. It was great seeking knowledge from you. Thank you so much, sir. Thanks
Thank
for
you.
giving us precious time.
Ashish, all the best to you, and thank you all the participants.
Thank you, sir.
I would like to thank our principal, Dr. Yusufa Nafis, and all the IQAC members working for the smooth functioning of this program. Thanks to all the participants for joining us. Meet you all tomorrow at the same time. Have a nice day. Thank you so much, sir.
Welcome. Bye-bye.
Sir, thank you.